A normal, ordinary young man gets reincarnated, but unlike the cliché of being teleported to another world, as a stud with overpowered abilities and a harem of beauties at his side, he gets reincarnated as a sword. Instead of slowly coming to terms with his new reality, Ivan is forced to witness each uneventful day go by while being lodged in some rocks, but his story eventually starts getting interesting when a man named Zhang Tani finds him while fleeing from a group of attackers. What is in store for you? Stay tuned to find out. This is the story of a fan who has been reincarnated into another world as a sword. He claims that he remembers nothing other than his name. As time slowly passes, he gets accustomed to being an inanimate object and accepts the fact that he is now a sword. Furthermore, to escape his days filled with boredom, he wants to find a master who will assist him in his journey. One rainy day, a man named Jin Taney is being hunted down by a group of people. As he tries to escape them, he happens upon a sword lodged in between some rocks, or fan. In other words, seeing the sword this man equips it, becoming the master of this sword and allowing a fan to take on a spiritual form. However, John has already been poisoned earlier, and as a result he dies soon after becoming a fan's master. His pursuers eventually catch up to the dead man's corpse, but there Yi-fan realizes that his form cannot be perceived by the humans. As such, he tries persistently to get the attackers to notice him, but with no luck for him, this is a disaster. After being reincarnated, he is now unable to communicate with people. He seems desperate, never wanting to return to his miserable life in between the rock where nothing interesting ever happens. What's more, the men call Yi-fan the sword a low-level rubbish item, but that is far from the truth. In reality, his special powers lie in the fact the sword powers up after absorbing the soul. After drinking the soul of his last master, Yi-fan transforms into a soul-drinking sword, and Wangba, the leader of the attackers, decides to take command over it, claiming that he can now fulfill his desires with this magic item. Ivan learns that this world is a place where warriors are highly respected and that there are 8 empires in this world, with him being in the Tanda Empire. Outside the city walls appear mutated beasts who are quite dangerous, and divine swords such as Ivan absorb the souls of these monsters to level up. While he learns all of this, a group of attackers decide to head back into the city and have a meal. Suddenly, they bump into a red-eyed wolf, a level 3 monster. Zhuanba, level 2 warrior, manages to defeat the beast, allowing a fan to absorb the soul once again and gain 300 evolution points. Upon acquiring these new points, he tries to unlock a new skill that Yi-fan can use to move on his own. Wanting to use this skill and get a new, preferably female master, Yi-fan unleashes the skill, but rather than move the sword, it merely vibrates a bit. Enraged upon getting scammed, he demands a refund from the system and creates a huge ruckus, but no one can hear him. On the other hand, Zhuanba thinks the vibrating sword means that it has accepted him as the new master. Furthermore, he notices that the sword's kite has become stronger than before. Anyways, the group then heads back to the city. There, Wangbi meets with a man named Remuneration. This man asks one but how things are faring, prompting Wangbu to reveal Zhang's decapitated head to this man. Later on, Wangba visits a blacksmith to make a scarboard for this divine sword. There his men approach him and ask for their pay for the last mission, hunting down and killing Zhang Tani. However, Zhuanbai is revealed to be a rather greedy individual. He only gives his men a fraction of the amount he earned, despite having many killed in the last mission, making the others extremely furious at Wangba's unrighteousness. Later that night, Wangba visits a brothel and has some fun with a lady of the night there. While he enjoys his time, one of his subordinates sneaks in, taking possession of the sword. This guy tries to fight with the leader, but he is seen as a weakling. This man named Tian Jinshin gets sent flying back with a single blow. Regardless of his inferiority, he wants to avenge his dead wife, whom Wang killed and claims was a real fine woman. Hearing this, Ivan is disgusted and wants to break off his binding with Oniba, but the system doesn't allow for that. All of a sudden, he happens upon a rather useful skill called Blood Soul. Using their ability, Ivan can strengthen the user by extracting the essence from the user's blood, thinking that this might be worth a shot. He uses this skill and gives Tan Jinshin a boost in power, but even this isn't enough to kill Wangba. As such, while Wangba makes nasty comments about his foe's sister, Ifan uses another one of his skills, Phantom Dance, making Tan Jinshin rush into his opponent in a fit of rage. With the help of this overpowered skill, Tan Jinxin, while shedding tears of blood, finally manages to overcome his foe and kills Wangba. With this ordeal over with, Ifan absorbs the soul of his deceased master and gains 200 points. The power of this horrific skill also completely devours Tian Jinxin, who was ecstatic after getting his revenge and begins to think that he can do anything as long he has this divine weapon at his side. As such, to level up even more, he decides to use his new sword on the prisoners on death row, allowing Ifan to become even stronger as some time passes by. Tan Jinxin's mood stabilizes. In comparison, however, one day a man named Zhang, who of the mercenary group known as Storm Tiger, comes to take the divine sword away from him. Hearing the rumors of Wangba being killed by this weapon, he orders Tan Jinxin to leave the sword and the gold coins he got from Wangba, allowing him to live if he does as told. But Tian Jinxin doesn't comply, rather he rushes into attack. Nevertheless, Jen, who was even stronger than Wangba, and parries the incoming attack, almost breaking a fan in the process. Moreover, Jan, who kills Tian but finds that the divine iron sword is weaker than he expected. Consequently, a subordinate of his name Helan makes a contract with the fan instead. Not long after the group returns back to their hideout, there Fan learns that his new master is a complete loser. A small fry who works laboriously joins in the day and spends his money on women at night. One day there is a big announcement and everyone is called out to the compound. There John, who reveals that he has a big assignment for today, which is to kill the mercenary group called the Shadow. Although there is some doubt in the soldiers' minds, Zhang, who claims that everything will be alright, adds that he has already sent a spy telling everyone to stay prepared for the attack in the late hours of the night. And so to prepare, Elon decides to cultivate and hone his ability in the forest. He swings his divine sword, but Ifan looks worried. He doubts that this small fry can help him acquire evolution points. However, compared to his previous master, Ifan thinks that his new master is a rather honest person and decides that this is better than being with an evildoer. Later that night, the Strom Tigers take up their positions for the attack. Although Elon seems concerned and worried, his swords help motivate him. Eventually, the attack begins. As the fighting breaks out, Elon, with the help of Ifan's skills, begins to clobber the enemy, so much so that the evil spirit takes over his body just like it did with Tan Jinxin after killing a few warriors. Elon then gets confronted by a fighter who is seen to be craving revenge on Elon for killing his brother. His opponent uses brute strength and continues to push Elon further and further back, but the divine sword has already stored up a decent amount of evolution points. As such, Ifan unleashes the Phantom Dance skill, allowing the user to defeat his foe with a blank. Eventually, the fight comes to an end when John, who takes the opposition leader's head as the incident ends, also begins to evolve once again, but despite getting evolved and becoming way stronger, he seems to be somewhat unhappy that he doesn't change skins with each transformation anyway. After the battle, Elon gets rewarded handsomely for his effort in killing 6 men in the fight. Nonetheless, the others from his group grow jealous of his skills and compensation as a result while he trains and hones his skills. Elaine gets confronted by his teammates, who recognize his sword as the divine sword Tan Jinx. She previously had these men steal Lan's bag of money, ordering him to hand over the sword if he wants his reward back. The fan cannot believe that one's own teammates would do such a heinous act as steal from their own comrade and calls the perpetrators scum. In addition, seeing as his master isn't in the wrong, he claims that it's time to fight back against these bullies with encouraging words. He motivates Elon to take back what's rightfully his, and he steps forth. Elon tells the men to return his bag back to him and threatens to use force if they refuse, but of course these men do not listen but rather decide to attack Elon instead. But they are no match for their opponent's speed and power. In a blink of an eye, he quickly disarms and injures his foes, claiming that it isn't his fault if they end up losing their lives. Moreover, he once again tells the scum to return his bag of money, or else things will end up getting ugly. The men return the money and flee after the ordeal. Elon thanks his divine sword. He expresses how he used to have the dream of becoming a famed and revered warrior in his childhood, but reality crushed his dreams not long after. Despite this, Ifan has given him his dream back. On the other hand, Ifan's enemies blame him for even having a dream, stating that people become stronger when they have goals they want to chase. Later that day, Elon gets called out by his leader, Shan, who, upon meeting him, orders him to bring the divine sword and give it to him in front of him. Elon agrees, stating that he will go and retrieve it from his room, but inside he is desperate to get a hold of it, claiming he will never let anyone get their hands on it. But the leader John, who isn't so easily deceived, understands that Elaine doesn't want to hand over the sword, prompting him to order his men to retrieve the sword no matter what, while Elaine heads over to his room and prepares to leave a few men on Zhang, whose order is to surround his house and ask for the sword. Of course, Elon isn't complying with this order and decides to fight back. more and more people appear out of nowhere, trapping their prey inside the house and surrounding it with numbers. Nonetheless, he finds an opening and escapes into the forest. As he tries to flee, one person continues to tail him, still being pursued. Elon has no other choice but to get serious. As he parries an incoming attack, a mysterious black liquid emerges from the divine blade and splashes on his opponent's face. This results in his face literally melting, and he lets out a horrific shriek. Elon doesn't hesitate to kill him and runs off in the distance while Ifan expresses how his master is now on a road of no return. The rest of the men informed Zhang of this development. Jiang, who inquires where the man who defied his order has run off, learns that he has seen him entering the Emerald Forest. Meanwhile, Elon is resting after running for quite some time when he suddenly gets faced with several iron hairpicks, but these weak level 1 beasts are nothing but a way for the divine sword to get evolutions points, defeating them in an instant. He wonders why these pigs approached him despite usually staying away from humans. Upon closer inspection, Inception figures out that it's time for the beast tide, and so just like this, 3 days go by, and the land has been fighting non-stop this entire time, ending up losing his left arm. However, this has resulted in Ifan becoming a whole lot stronger on the other hand. Scouts stationed by John still do not find anyone exiting the Emerald Forest, and as a result, Zhang creates a search party with the sole intention of capturing Elaine if he is still alive or recovering his corpse if he has been killed. So while the teams frequent the forest, they still do not find any clues about their target. Later that night, the leaders of the groups go over to have a meal, but unbeknownst to them, Elaine is also sitting right behind them. They discuss how they have only found the bones, thinking that Elon must have already died in the middle of this chaos. Furthermore, a high-ranking commander in Strong Tiger reveals how he invited his mother to Sky Wolf City in order to lure him out, but despite this, Elon still didn't show his face, resulting in Xin feeding her to the dogs. He expresses how his mother begged for mercy, but Xin just laughed it off, announcing that he showed her none. However, hearing all of this makes him angry, so he takes a stand and kills off the men, leaving Xin for last. Immediately, Xin falls to the ground, asking for forgiveness, but this is all a ploy. Using this as a distraction, he calls out all his other men, but this is exactly what Elon was waiting for. Not long after Jen, who finally shows his face. But only after 60 of his men have already been killed by Elon. However, he fully understands that his current level will not be enough to defeat the leader of the feared mercenary group. This leads to him pleading with you, Fan, to get more power. As a result, the Divine Sword unlocks a hidden skill that transforms the Blood Soul. Chan Youngsun used to send Wangba into a bloodthirsty rage, but even with this skill unlocked, Ifan is skeptical if his current master can overcome this hurdle or not. Regardless, Jen just makes fun of his opponent, stating that he will allow him to try and take revenge for his beloved mother, but this only makes his land grow more and more. Furious by the minute, finally at the end of his limit, he jumps in to attack the man who defiled his beloved mother, and the fight begins. But even the hidden skill is not enough to face Jiang Hu, a level 3 warrior who is on the verge of reaching level 4, as both parties begin to clash. Elon ends up receiving many major blows, and while his opponent claims that killing Elon is akin to stomping on an ant, he still refuses to give up despite his mortal injuries. Consequentially, the bloodthirsty rage skill begins to deplete the user's life force, allowing him to momentarily get on par with his foe. Moreover, he ultimately manages to overpower Zhang and send him straight to hell. However, despite his efforts, he also soon lapses on the ground and dies. This leaves him alone again, but the next time, his master proves to be the ultimate scumbag. His new master Mahamu is a true greedy bastard who stole the divine sword off of Elon's corpse. Moreover, he plans to sell this expensive-looking sword to get some money after Mahal, who gets back from his shitty debt-collecting job where he is regularly beaten by his leader. He returns back to his home. Once there, he sees his wife in bed with another man. Seeing this, he immediately becomes enraged, calling his wife and the man she is with an adulterous couple, but his anger is quickly calmed down when this man pays Maham 1,000 gold coins and buys her wife. Moreover, some of his peers and superiors show up at his house to retrieve some treasures he had found, but once there they make fun of Maham, who calling him names for letting her beautiful woman run off with someone else. Their wife notices something, stating that it seems that beauty can inspire a fighting spirit. The end.